Unless you're a diehard fan like yours truly here, it's pretty likely that the Power Rangers franchise has probably flown under your radar for the last few years, if not the last few decades. The 2017 film reboot failed to live up to expectations, and unless you've been paying attention, you might not even know that the show is still on the air. But Power Rangers, which just wrapped its 27th season, is chugging along just fine. And now it looks like there are some big things coming for the series about teenagers in multicolored spandex. It would seem though that Hasbro, the current owners of the franchise, are hoping to position it to compete with the biggest franchise that there is, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But how? Well, in this video, I will explore just that. So sharpen your power sword, set the Astro Mega Ship to autopilot, and get in gear as we dive right into it. So for us to fully understand how Power Rangers is going to stand toe-to-toe with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we first have to take a look at some behind-the-scenes business shenanigans that went down back in 2018. For those of you who aren't exactly up to date on the production side stuff of the Power Rangers franchise, you might not be aware that the rights have a history of changing hands quite frequently. First, it was owned by none other than one of the creators, Haim Saban. Then, around the end of Power Rangers in Space, it was bought by Disney, who held onto the rights right until the end of RPM, when the rights were bought back by Saban. And the show continued under his supervision until 2018, when the rights were bought by Hasbro for roughly $522 million. And that is where things stand today, with Hasbro in control of things. And it is the toy conglomerate that has these big plans for the multicolored heroes. And to head up these big plans, Hasbro has brought in a person that they hope to turn into their own Kevin Feige, that being Jonathan Entwistle, the man behind the Netflix series I Am Not Okay With This. Entwistle has been tasked by Hasbro with developing a massive shared universe, made up of both cinematic outings and television properties. So we're talking more than likely another film reboot, as the 2017 film didn't exactly set the world on fire, and even a potential TV reboot. Though that might not actually need to happen, but we'll get to that in a second. Regardless, it kinda looks like Hasbro wants to go full bore with the franchise, committing a ton of resources to it. So, okay, Hasbro has some big aspirations for the Rangers, but they certainly wouldn't be the first people who tried to step up and take on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. DC has probably had the best go of it so far, but the DCEU is not exactly in a great place. The Dark Universe was basically dead on arrival, and Sony's Marvel Universe is kinda cheating, because it's also Marvel related, but it's there. But there is one way that Power Rangers could take things that would not only allow them to continue the continuity of the original series, while still being able to do whatever new stuff they wanted to, and be a near guaranteed hit with fans new and old. Something that could allow them to reach the heights of the MCU. I'm of course talking about adapting a storyline that brings in the Power Rangers' own form of the multiverse. I'm talking about Shattered Grid. But what is that exactly? Well, Shattered Grid is a massive story arc from the Boom Studios Power Rangers comics, which is awesome, and I actually suggest going out and checking it out before watching this, as I'm about to spoil at least the setup. Anyways, this arc sees an evil version of Tommy Oliver, the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, traveling throughout time and different dimensions to try to gain as much power as possible by stealing the powers of members of multiple different Ranger teams and combining them all together. This ultimately led to an Avengers Endgame style team up of pretty much every single Ranger from across history, even the ones who are only kind of Rangers, like Blue Centurion and the Phantom Ranger. Heck, even the Hyperforce Rangers were there in the background, and they only existed within a tabletop role-playing game that was live streamed on Twitch. This story arc has proven to be very popular among fans, so it is a recognizable arc that could potentially rival the scale of Endgame. Plus, it would leave the Power Rangers universe in a spot that is primed for a soft reboot, as the event would shake things up enough that it could leave a lot of room for creative new things. So, it's certainly a possibility. Or who knows, maybe they'll come up with something completely new, which might just be equally cool.
We got the power!
All right,
Hang on, Thordon. We're on our way.
let's do it.
One of the cooler aspects of the plans Hasbro has that I didn't previously mention is that they apparently want to include entries in the franchise that are aimed at older audiences. Not exactly sure what that would look like, but personally, I am all on board for a hard R Power Rangers property. Probably not gonna get something like that, but you know, it's just a thought.